All right, good evening, ladies. Uh-oh, Sheila's coming in. Hey, Sheila, if you haven't already, I see everybody. Sheila, do me a favor and type your name in the chat box, please, so we can get going. Tonight is my final presentation for 2020, and I should be back the first Thursday in January. They're still approving our presentations for January. I do have one. I put in one for the first Thursday in January. I forgot what the date is, but I am off next week for the rest of this week. So thank you, ladies, for coming. Let me post a post-event survey. I wanted to wait until everybody I knew that was coming got in. There's a friend named Jaleisha that's supposed to log in. So if she does, then y'all do me a favor and go ahead and repost that link for her if she logs in. There will be no poll everywhere tonight. Tonight we are talking about increasing self-confidence and self-esteem. And let me get going. I thought this was going to be not a lengthy presentation, but once I got my slides going, I realized we're going to run up on about 45 minutes. So let me go ahead and get going. All right, y'all know, so you hear me, you know, if I stop talking, that's what's going on. But increasing self-esteem and self-confidence. Introducing Dr. Bridget King. Hey, connection unstable, so if it buffers, I apologize. I'm not really sure what's going on with AT&T this week, but the internet's been run really slow this week. But who is Dr. King? I am a wife and mother, 34-year resident of Duncanville, Texas, and I've lived in the 800 link community for 18 years. I changed up some things this week because I got tired of saying the same stuff about myself every Thursday or every Tuesday or Thursday or whatever. So how did I become Dr. King? I earned my high school diploma from Duncanville High School. I earned an associate's degree in arts and sciences from El Centro College. I earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Texas at the Permian Basin. I earned a master's degree in organizational management from the University of Phoenix, and I earned an education doctorate in sports management from North Central University. And what are some things that I do to improve my self-confidence and self-esteem? Since that's this week's topic, I hype myself up and I don't talk negatively to myself. I am always taking a professional development course of some kind. I regularly practice self-care. I always have a goal on my plate to fulfill. I celebrate all my successes, no matter how small or large. I know my worth. I am always working on my emotional intelligence, and I don't allow people to bully me or talk down to me. And those are things that we're presentation. And so what TI Community's presentation will this focus on? As always, education. But when you fill out your post-event survey tonight, you're going to choose health and wellness. They've redone the form. And they only allow you to choose one now, if I remember correctly. If they allow you to choose more than one, then choose education and health and wellness. If they only allow you to choose one, then choose health and wellness. They redid some of the forms, so I'm not sure if the survey form was one that they redid or not. And then who does this presentation benefit? This presentation benefits anyone needing to find ways to improve on and increase on their self-confidence and self-esteem. So let's get started. What is, and you know me, I always got to give you a definition. So the definition of confidence is belief in oneself and one's powers or abilities, self-confidence, self-reliance, or assurance. Let me move around the box. I always get my slides and I don't ever manage to make them to where I'm not having to move around my Zoom boxes. So what is self-confidence in relation to confidence? So that definition is realistic confidence in one's own judgment, ability, power, etc. It's one's belief in themselves and their abilities. So confidence is your belief in yourself and your abilities. And then why is it good to have self-confidence? Because self-confidence plays a role in every part of your life where happiness resides. You cannot be happy and not be self-confident. Not self-confident and unhappy, but it's hard to be happy and not have self-confidence about you. Self-confidence is one of the seeds to happiness. It's also assurance in one's own abilities, knowledge, judgment, and power. It's hard to work on yourself in every way possible and not have self-confidence. And it allows you to say, I've got this. You know, I'm always teaching my daughter, be confident in everything you do. So when something happens and something comes along, your words will always be, I've got this, I got this, I got this. And she tells me, I got this, mama. Okay, then. And so now that we talk about self-confidence, what are the rewards of self-confidence? And before we talk about what's on the left side, talk about what's on the right side. Self-confidence is the most attractive quality a person can have. How can you see how great you are if you can't? How can anyone see how great you are if you can't see it in yourself? Self-confidence allows you to see you. Remember when I always talk about being intrinsic, being about yourself, not needing extrinsic, which means outside people or outside forces or outside things to make you feel good about yourself. Self-confidence is intrinsic. It's an intrinsic trait. It's an intrinsic characteristic about yourself. So what are the rewards of being self-confident? Number one, there's less fear and anxiety, less worrying, less depression. Remember last week when we talked about self-care, when you practice self-care, it also minimizes, doesn't take away, because there are things in life that will cause depression, but it minimizes depression. It minimizes your ability to worry. Being self-confident, there are very few things that will actually cause you to worry. And the things that are will be extrinsic. Those will be outside things that will come into your life that will cause you to worry, cause you to be depressed. But intrinsically, you won't worry as much. You won't be depressed as much about things that you have control of. And that attributes to being less fearful about things and having less anxiety about things. It causes you to be have greater motivation, perseverance. Self-confidence is the foundation point to those things. You know, when you have self-confidence, that gives you motivation to keep going. It gives you motivation when things happen to not give up. You will persevere, and it gives you that determination. There's a such thing as self-determination, self-motivation, self-perseverance. Those are all things that are tied to self-confidence. It allows you to learn to celebrate all your successes, big and small. And as you grow, and when I say grow, I mean within yourself, within your profession, within your education, you have to learn to celebrate those small successes. Because if you just sit back and wait to the big successes, you're gonna have, you're gonna have fear, you're gonna have anxiety that you didn't do nothing. If you're waiting on something big to happen, one thing that I always talk to my child about is celebrate the small things. With basketball, with her education, celebrate every, with school, celebrate every good grade you make. Those are your small successes. Those small successes mean that now on your report card or your progress report, you'll see an A. But those A's come from those individual assignments, those individual quizzes, those individual tests that you do well on. So the smaller grades lead to the big grades. Same thing in life. When you're at work, celebrate the small things. Don't wait for your boss to pat you on your back. If you have a good, productive day at work, treat yourself. Go have lunch, have a good dinner, treat yourself for working hard that day at work. Do something out of the box. I'm always talking to my best friend, trust yourself, do something out of the box to push yourself. And you'll start to realize that you're more fearful of doing the thing that was out of the box versus doing it itself. It was the thing itself that you were afraid of doing, and you were more afraid of failing. It wasn't the fact of the thing itself. You were afraid of failing at the thing. When you have self-confidence, it's more of, I got this. I'm not afraid of failing. If I happen to fail, so what? I did it anyway. So you get those types of things about yourself, which leads to having less self-doubt. You don't doubt yourself as much when you have self-confidence. Everything is not going to go right. I don't see things as wins and losses. I see things as lessons. If you don't succeed at doing something, it is a lesson. That means that the next time you do it, you don't do it this way. Figure out another way to do it. I tell my kids that in basketball all the time. Plays are awesome drawn up on paper. Every play leads to a basket drawn up on paper. Does that mean when I put 5 players on the court that we run that play, it might it might result in a basket? It may not. We may get stopped. The ball may go out of bounds. We may lose the ball and commit a turnover. But guess what? When we run that play again, guess what we're not going to do? Run it that way. We're going to figure out another way to run it, and we're going to keep doing that until we figure out what way leads to a basket. That's pretty much, there is no doubt when you have self-confidence. That just means that it didn't work this way this time. But when I do it again, I'm going to figure out what went wrong this time, and I'm going to do it another way the next time. And you keep doing that until you figure out what works. Number 5, more coping skills, which is resilience to handle setbacks and failure. Once again, setbacks are lessons. They're not failures. I don't even like the word failure, but I did some research and failure was one of the things on the list. I don't like to use the word failure. I like to use setback, because a setback sets you up for a comeback. So don't see it as a failure. Just see it as, hey, this didn't work this way. Tori, you and your Mary Kay and your sales, you figure out what works and what doesn't, right? Right. So everybody has a way of, you do something one way, and if it doesn't work, you figure out another way to do it. If you're dead set on doing it, you figure out a way to do it. It may not work that way, but it may work another way. So if it doesn't work that way, say, you know what, chalk that up to experience. Let's do something else. Then if we're talking about relationships, and I'm talking every relationship, friendships, work relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, improved relationships. Because remember, what is the one thing about confidence? Everything has a spectrum, right? You have healthy confidence, and then you have confidence that leads to arrogance and narcissism. So if you don't balance that out, your self-confidence can lead you into becoming very arrogant real quickly if you don't check yourself. So what happens is everything becomes about you. Your self-confidence now becomes about you. That's where you start to lose friendships. You start to lose networking relationships, mentoring relationships. You got to realize with self-confidence, there is a balance that you have to have. You have to allow people to help you. Remember pride? We had the whole conversation about pride a couple of weeks ago. Pride comes before a fall. That's when you start to take pride to another level. You have to learn to check yourself and stand back and say, hey, is my confidence and my pride going too far to the right or too far to the left? So improved relationships, you realize everything is not about you. Sometimes you have to step back and let other people shine, and other people shining has nothing to do with you. Be that support system. I have people in my life that are my best friend, Tori, my best friend, Sheila, my child, my mother, my sister, Kirsty. I don't hate on nobody. There is room, and especially being a female, everybody has room to rise. Let's say this reminds me of my job because I continue to apply for a position and keep getting looked over. So what I do is sign up for every class or certification that I can to add to my resume. Exactly, Tori. You and I have this conversation all the time. We all have applied for jobs that we have not gotten. Me more than anybody. Y'all all know my situation. I don't have to discuss that here. We all apply for jobs that we know that we have the education and the tenure on the job to get. But remember what I told you, do not set a goal that has somebody else's input as to whether or not you fulfill that goal. So on a job, when you say, I want this position, all you can do is everything that you can do. But when whoever gets that position is dependent on somebody else's opinion and somebody else's input and really somebody else's decision, don't get upset when you don't get that job. Just have the confidence to say, hey, I had all the qualifications for that, because I always say this, if that job is not for me, that means the Lord has something better. And always go with that. And what'll end up happening is, because I used to get upset when I didn't get jobs, but when certain things happen, there's always, the Lord comes back to remind me and let me know why I didn't need that job. And with COVID going on and a lot of these companies folding, there are a lot of companies that are closed. And unfortunately, some of those are companies I have actually applied to. So that was the Lord's way of telling me, no, I couldn't give you that job then, because he knew what was coming. So I don't even get upset when I don't get jobs anymore. That's just the Lord telling me, no, something better. So that's the way I always want y'all to look. That's the way I tell my child. Just because something happens, that means there is never a time when you're not going to get something and the Lord doesn't give you something better. You have to look at it that way. Otherwise, that's where the fear and the anxiety and the worry and the depression comes in. With self-confidence, you always know that door was closed to me. That means the Lord wants me to do something better, not just do something else, do something better. So go with that. And then a stronger sense of self and acceptance of who you are. It is hard to be self-confident and also be negative about yourself. Anybody that knows me, y'all laugh at me all the time because I am always, this girl is fly. She is the absolute bomb. My friends crack up with that, but I have to do that, because if I don't hype up myself, who else is going to? And I want y'all to do the same thing. Hype yourself up, get in the mirror and talk to yourself. Like I said, my child is always laughing at me. She be in the bathroom, Mama, what are you doing? Hyping this girl up. This girl is the absolute bomb all day long. You hear me? If you're around me, you hear me say that. I to myself up, because there is so much going on in life that if I allow it to get to me, I will lose my mind, and I can't afford to do that. So I keep myself up here. I keep myself high, because if I don't, I'll succumb to all the foolishness that goes on. You know, COVID has impacted my life and my family just like everybody else's. But with that, COVID has also been, I mean, well, not COVID, but 2020 has also been very good to me this year. So on one side, where I do have, you know, the sadness, because I've had family and friends contract COVID. I've had family and friends who have passed from COVID, but I've also been blessed with a wonderful job. And this was my job, you know? So I have to look at where the goodness come from. I don't forget. I just have to remember, with everything going on, the Lord has still been good to me, because guess what? Nobody in my house has contracted COVID. Nobody in my family, in my immediate family, has contracted COVID. We're all getting up every day, and every day, that is the primary blessing. And so from self-esteem, or excuse me, from self-confidence, we go over to esteem, because they work hand in hand. So what's the definition of esteem? To regard highly or favorably, regard with respect or admiration. And then in the center, I have love yourself and the rest will follow. Free your mind. Who is that? What's the girl's name? Prairie View. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is a realistic respect for or favorable impression of oneself, is self-respect. So where confidence is about having, you know, confidence in your abilities, self-esteem is about knowing your self-worth. So confidence is abilities, esteem is your self-worth, a person's overall sense of self-worth and personal value. You have to know your self-worth. That does not come, do not allow somebody else's opinion of you to cause you to value yourself. I don't care. I tell people all the time, and everybody knows this, you will be dead and decomposed in 100 years before I care about any negativity that comes from somebody else to me. I have people that hate on me all the time. I had a conversation the other day. Do you not realize how much hate I got when I became Dr. King? Oh, you think you better than nobody else. No, baby, you think I'm better than you. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I'm still Bridget. That's how I am. It comes to me and I don't care. You know, I know my worth. I know my value, and it's not extrinsic. I don't worry about anybody. Exactly, Tori. Free your mind and the rest will follow. In vogue. That's it. But yeah, you have to know your own self-worth. So when people start throwing negativity at you, because one thing that the world is bad about is not supporting people when they rise. There is enough space at the top for all of us to rise. And y'all see my Facebook posts. I am adamant about women rising. That whole thing with Jill Biden, you can't come for one woman and not come for us all. Don't hate on that woman because she went out and got her education doctorate. That's a slap in the face to all of us. Now, does that mean that anybody with a master's or a bachelor's is not rising? Absolutely not. Rise, queen, rise. Y'all seen me post that several times this week. We all have the ability to rise, and it's not just women. I'm just a woman that advocates for women, but I advocate for everybody, especially, you know, males, period. You know, but rise, we all have room to rise, and that comes from self-esteem. Self-esteem is knowing your worth. You have to know who you are. This girl is a mom. Why? Because I work on myself. I work too hard on Bridget Marshall Tarpley King to not know what my worth is. And I want you all to know what yours is. Don't rely on somebody to tell you that you are good, or tell you that, you know, do I look good? I don't care if you think I don't look good. I know I do. You know, so why is it good to have self-esteem? We talked about why is it good to be self-confident? Why is it good to have self-esteem? Self-esteem is shaped by one's thoughts, relationships, and experiences. You are what increases your self-esteem. How do you feel about yourself on your good days? How do you feel about yourself on your bad days? No matter what happens, and something is going to always happen. I've always realized that life is about ups and downs. And more importantly, or more specifically, not importantly, but specifically, to me, it seems like you're going to have a whole bunch of good, and then have somewhere something's going to happen and it's going to drop. And then you go back up and you have more good and something else happens and it drops. It's nothing but, if you look at a line graph, obviously about to say a bar graph, and I mean a bar graph as well. It goes up and down, life goes up and down, and esteem and confidence are how we deal with those lows. The highs, that's best case scenario. I always tell people, even when I go to restaurants, I don't want to see the good reviews, because that's what they're supposed to do. I want to know what happened on the back end or on the bad side to know if I'm going to have to deal with that when I get there. And that's just what happens. And that's what happens in life. Something is going to always come at us. It's just how we deal with it. And then having high self-esteem allows one to succeed in school and at work. I've been reading a book, and y'all, those that know me, I don't even remember what I did with that book. I think it's over. No, here it is. Hold on, let me show y'all. I've been reading a book this week. I have a lot of friends that are educators, and I started reading this book this week. It is called Teaching with Poverty in Mind: What Being Poor Does to Kids' Brains and What Schools Can Do About It. And you learn a lot. This is the book. If y'all haven't seen it, it's on Amazon. It's on sale. If you ever want to read it, I told y'all I'm always doing something. That book teaches you. There's a guy, he grew up poor. This is not just somebody, grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth and they're not getting a PhD and, trying to give their opinion on what they think is going on in minority neighborhoods. The guy that wrote that book grew up poor, and he has managed to get above that. And he's, he teaches and does different programs and things like that. But one thing that they stress in that book is that when it comes to people living in low socioeconomic status, or what they call low SES, the one thing that the kids have to be taught is how to have confidence in themselves and how to have esteem, because that is how you rise. You can't rise without being confident in your abilities and not knowing your worth. So one thing that kids have to have instilled to them, and I really don't care what your socioeconomic status is, kids, period, have to be taught to have their own self-confidence, their own self-esteem. When they do that, they do better in school. There is so much, and we can talk about this for days, but we're living in a technological age, but our education system is still back in the Flintstones. I told somebody the other day, for us to live in the Jetsons, we are steadily educationally still living in the Flintstones. Am I wrong? So we have to learn new ways to teach our kids. Remember, everybody has a different way to learn. Remember, we talked about learning styles, did a whole presentation on that. Everybody learns differently. We can't force a kid to learn a certain way. We have to figure out how they learn best. And so I try to incorporate some of that stuff in my presentations. Everybody doesn't like reading. Sometimes I'll do, interactive stuff. Tonight we got a video from OPRAH in down the line here in just a little bit in a later slide. When I try to make sure I do my presentations, I try to incorporate a lot of different things: pictures, different colors, different backgrounds, some type of, different type of technology, some type of interactive stuff. That's because I want to keep you guys invested. I want to keep you engaged. And so when we keep kids engaged and we operate from where they are, every child does not start from the same spot educationally. We have to figure out where they are, where their starting point is, and you go from there. You don't make them compete against other kids in class. That's a losing battle, so you have to start kids from where they are, and that comes from them teaching them their self-worth. They have to have self-esteem about themselves, and that allows one to navigate life with an assertive, positive attitude, regardless of anything mental, physical, or emotional going on. And I mention those things because schools are split up. You have what you call general population, and then you have the disabled kids. And now they're doing, well, not now, but in the last decade or so, they've been doing inclusion. And I'll say actually last couple of decades, they've been doing inclusion where the kids who have disabilities, as long as they can function in a general population classroom, sometimes out of the day, they are actually taken from that class to the general population classroom so they can learn with the regular kids. And regular is relative, period. It is relative. You don't talk to those kids to let them know that their disability does not define them. That's where low self-esteem comes in. That's where low self-confidence comes in. And as a coach, you know, I don't coach kids with disabilities. I am certified. I am certified to coach kids with disabilities. They call it adaptive sports. I didn't want to just be a coach just chasing trophies. I want to coach all kids. So I did. I got certified with the Special Olympics to coach adaptive basketball and adaptive sports. You know, basketball that's my niche sport. But those kids, all kids, have to understand that regardless to what's going on, whether mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, whatever, they have to be taught themselves. That's where the rising comes from. So that's why it's good to have self-esteem. And as you see, my little picture says self-esteem loading. Everybody at some point has a moment in life where we start to doubt ourselves. When we start to doubt ourselves, we have to come back and remember the good things about us. One way to get over doubt is remember the good things that you know and do it for yourself and for others around you, and that'll change your thinking. Everything starts here. And so lack of self-confidence and lack of self-esteem. People who lack self-confidence and lack self-esteem experience the following. They focus on their weaknesses and not their strengths. You know, I don't care how good you tell them that they are, they're going to always doubt themselves. And sometimes it's hard, you know, to deal with kids, but when that happens, you just keep reminding them, baby, you. Everybody has something special about themselves. You have to remember what yours are. In times of doubt, you have to remember what your strengths are. Everybody's a superhero some kind of way. Do not perceive their strengths as good things. You know, people that are low in confidence and low in esteem, when people give them, you know, when they make good grades, they find a way to negate that praise. You know, oh, it wasn't that good. Girl, you got an A. It was just an A. No, we got to change their way of thinking. They put themselves down. You are so beautiful today, or you are so handsome today. Now, you know, this is just who I am. No, love yourself. If you don't do nothing with self-care, love yourself. They feel a lack of control over their lives. They think that when things happen, it's because they deserved it. There are some things in life that your choices. I mean, you have the right to make every choice you want to make, but every choice has a consequence. You know, that's different. But when you feel a lack of control over your life, that's something different than choices being made and you're just making choices that may not have been the best ones at their time. They don't feel like they have any type of control over their lives. And that's because they need external accolades and approval from others to feel good about themselves. Don't ever get in a position where you need somebody to validate you. That is an automatic sign. If somebody realizes that you are weak mentally, they will try to mentally and emotionally control you. Do not allow that to happen. Then once they get those accolades, they discount and ignore the very accolades and compliments received. So I'm telling you that you're a really good basketball player or a really good person, and then you come back and say, no, coach, no. That is the worst thing that you can ever do in front of me, because you can't be around me and behave that way, because I work on myself too hard. And when I work on myself, I work on everybody else. Ask Tori, ask Trina, ask Sheila, ask my child. You can't hang around me and be around me and not feel good about yourself, because I feel good about myself, and hopefully that rubs off on me and hits everybody around me, because I want everybody around me to feel just as good about themselves as I do about myself. And then this leads to, when you don't do that, it leads to you not taking risks. There are some times in life that we have to take a risk. You have to do something that you are so afraid to do. But a lot of times when you take a risk and do something, you find out that reward is so much more rewarding than that doubt that you had that you couldn't do it. Remember in a couple other slides where I was saying that people doubt their ability to rise? A lot of that is because you are afraid of failing or a setback. Remember, I don't like failure. You're afraid of having a setback, taking that L. Sometimes you have to take a risk, and maybe it doesn't lead to the end. You figure out what went wrong, you do it again, and you do it different, and maybe it'll succeed. But you keep trying, but you can't just not take risks in life. If you always try to stay in that safe zone, you'll miss out on everything that you can do wonderful in life, trying to be stable and safe. Come out of that box sometimes and realize what you can do. And then people that with low self-confidence and low self-esteem do not think that they can reach their goals. And that just focuses on everything above that. They don't feel the self-confidence, the abilities, They don't have high hopes in their abilities, their self-abilities. And then self-esteem, they don't value themselves. So if you don't do those things, I don't care what goal you set for yourself, those two things, not having high praise in yourself and your abilities and your value, it won't lead to you reaching any goals, be it personal or professional. All right, let me move some boxes around again. And so how do you build your self-confidence and self-esteem? First things first, make it a point to work on yourself. Remember what I said, it's hard to work on yourself and feel low. It's hard. When you start working on yourself and have those small successes that build into the big successes, that builds your confidence, the automatic confidence and esteem builders. So always work on yourself, be it school or work or in the house or something. Find something or do it yourself. Do something and work on yourself. Then master your emotional intelligence. Remember, we had a whole presentation on that a couple of months ago. Master your emotional intelligence. I hope I'm not buffering, but I'm getting the internet unstable. If I'm buffering, I'm sorry. Master your emotional intelligence. Know the triggers that cause your esteem and confidence to lessen or plummet, and have a defense mechanism to combat those triggers. You have to know the things that get on your nerves. That's pretty much the bottom line. Things that automatically, when they happen, they are going to change your whole mood. You're going to go from happy to sad, or happy to angry, or happy to, oh, good Lord, in 2.5 seconds. You have to know those things. What things, what people, what circumstances, what situations, whatever. You have to know your triggers that make you go from sad, from happy to low. I guess when I say low, I'm saying angry, or make you worry, make you have fear. You have to know those triggers. And once you know what those triggers are, when those things happen, you already have a defense in place. Shoot that, block that, Wakanda forever. You have to know your emotional intelligence. You have to know those triggers that make you mad. So when they happen, you have an automatic defense mechanism to block that and change your whole attitude. Maybe it means taking yourself out of the room, leaving the situation, closing the conversation, hanging up the phone, whatever it is. Know what you have to do to have a defense mechanism for that trigger, and you will be okay. Become your own hype person. Get in the mirror and hype yourself up. I cannot say that enough. You have to know how to make yourself happy. You can't rely on your girls or your husband or your best friend. You can't rely. Now, granted, getting those external accolades, that's good. I'm not saying that, because we're social creatures by nature. I'm not saying that we just can't be in the room and be in the house by ourselves, even though I like being at home, but I do like being around my friends and my family as well. But I don't rely on my friends and my family to keep me happy. That's all on me. And I'll give me a, hey girl, you doing cool? Awesome, thank you. But I'm still gonna hype myself up always. And then celebrate all successes, small and large. I can't stress that enough. You have to celebrate all of your successes. I'm reading Tori's posts. Yeah, you have to celebrate all of your successes, small and large, and the small ones definitely. Because if you start to celebrate the small successes, you'll realize just how many successes in a day that you have. Waking up is one. Being able to walk is one. Being able to see is one. There are just, when you have a positive attitude about things, you'll start to realize there are just so many successes that you played a role in, that all of those successes, when those big successes come, you will be able to look back and see all the calculated steps that led up to that. And then bring some goals to fruition. The more that you accomplish, the higher your levels of confidence and esteem will raise. Once again, check yourself though. You can't let that lead to arrogance and being narcissistic and thinking you're better than other people. Don't do that. But bring some goals to fruition. Have a goal list. When you fulfill one goal, add another one on the list. If you always are working on yourself, you have no time to hate. You have no time to be fearful. You have no time to be have anxiety. None of that. Is somebody talking? Is that you, Kirsty Gale? And then pay attention to what you think about yourself. Remember, whether you think that you are or think that you are not, you are right. Your brain does not know the difference. Your brain plays into whatever you say. Like they say, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Your brain is going to go whatever flow you give it. So give it the positive flow. Whatever you think you are, be it positive. Let's not think negatively. Don't think that you are not this and not that. No, think that you are. See yourself where you're trying to go in the future and work there. Whatever you tell your brain you can or cannot do, or you are or are not, your brain is going to roll with that. So always stay positive about yourself. That keep your confidence and your esteem high. Challenge all negative thoughts about yourself. When a negative thought comes in your mind, is that thought based on fact? Is it based on lies, or is it based on somebody else's opinion? Figure that out first. And if it's anything but fact, let that go. Bam, block that. Now, there are some things that, you got to sometimes face some facts about yourself, about some things. We're not all good at all times. We all have some faults. But once you learn that, guess what? You can take those faults and turn them around as well. And the more that you know about yourself, the more you can get rid of those negative thoughts, because they're going to be there. When you try something new, buy something new, start a new job, start a new education or whatever, start a new degree, take a step up. There's always going to be that negativity that's going to pop in and say, are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I want to do this. Go away. That's what you have to do. Adjust your thoughts. Instead of thinking negatively, think positively about something. See the silver lining. Don't see what can go wrong. See what can go right. I was so afraid when we went to Austria to play. My first thing is we're going to die because we had to fly across the ocean. Hey, that was my thought. I'm scared to death to fly. And you talking about flying, what was it, a 9-hour flight from Texas to London? I had to sleep the whole flight because I thought I was going to die. I didn't say nothing to anybody else, but it's just, those are things. Fear comes in. What if we get over there and they don't like us? Trump was president. They don't like him in Europe. So, there was just a lot of things that went on in my mind when we went over to Austria, but I did not allow any of that to block that trip and how I was going to be over there, because that was one of the best trips ever. I stepped out of my comfort zone. Not only did I get on a plane, I flew to another side of the world and had the best time ever. I went to places I never thought I would ever see with my own eyes. My girls were able to test their skills against some of the best youth in Europe, and they came home champions. We stepped out of our box. We raised our confidence level and raised our esteem. And when you come home with a world championship trophy, that just knocks stuff through the roof. So those were things that I had to, adjust within myself. I didn't allow the negative thoughts to get to me. They were there, but I didn't allow them. I wanted to go over there and win. I wanted my girls to go over there and win, and that's what we did. And we actually had an amazing time doing it. So I had to adjust my thoughts. Do not allow someone else's negative thoughts about you to become fact in your head. Do not allow someone to emotionally abuse you or mentally control you. A weak mind is easy to control. We just had that conversation. Practice self-care. We talked about that last week. There are several things that you can do with self-care: staycation, vacation, mani-pedis, cooking, reading, hot baths, exercising, doing yoga, doing Pilates, whatever helps you to relax, do that. And then find an accountability partner, someone who believes in you to help you stay on that positive track. Don't get somebody that's just as negative as you can be. That doesn't help at all. Find somebody that is positive, that's doing working on their own selves, and you too yourselves. So we talk self-esteem, it brings us to self-efficacy. And so both self-confidence and self-esteem are correlated to self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is your ability and capacity to accomplish a particular task or goal in the future based on how you feel about yourself now. So self-efficacy is future thought about yourself based on you now. So like when I started to work on my doctorate, I knew nobody was going to tell me I was not going to get my doctorate, because I had spent so much time working on myself educationally that at that point, I just had to get the classes finished. And I was Dr. King. If y'all saw my posts, I labeled everything with Dr. King, Dr. Bridget King, Dr. Bridget M. King. That was me hyping myself up. That task of accomplishing my doctorate, that was my specific task. and my ability, my self-confidence, my self-esteem was there at the very basic level. It was real high, but at the very basic level, my esteem and my confidence were high to know that I could fulfill that one task, and I knew it wasn't going to be a problem for me. Self-efficacy is about how you, your ability and your desire to see yourself in the future. Do you see yourself as a doctor? Do you see yourself as a, you know, in a VP of some finance department? You know, do you see yourself as a bioengineer? You have to see that now, because those are things that you have to rely on when things start to, you know, like I said, things are going to happen. Doubt is going to creep in. But when you have positivity about yourself and high self-esteem and high self-confidence, your self-efficacy is also going to raise, because it can't not raise when you are high in those other areas. So see yourself as what you're going to be down the line, and that helps you. That's your motivation to keep going in those low points. And so the explanation is, the more confidence that you build in accomplishing a small task, which is a self-efficacy, will build up to overall confidence in your ability to accomplish anything that you set your mind to, which is self-confidence. So it's not what can go wrong, it's what can go right. Don't ever question what can go wrong when something happens. And we're all, you know, we all do it. You know, I do it sometimes myself, but instead of saying what can go wrong, say, hey, what can go right if I do this? And so the magic formula is self-esteem, having worth in yourself, self-efficacy, seeing yourself in the future leads to self-confidence. Completing the tasks that you need now with esteem and self-efficacy will lead to self-confidence, high self-confidence down the road. Everything builds on itself down the road. See what you can be 5 years from now. But did you know that other people's energy affects your esteem and confidence? So you must surround yourself with people who will build you up and not tear you down. If your girls are not building you up, then you need to let them go. If everything, you know, we all have somebody in our life that's rooting for us, but they're also rooting against us. And you have to know who those people are. And unfortunately, that is true. Know who your support system is and forget the rest. You know, you are responsible for the energy, not only that you give off, but as well as the energy that you allow around you. Do not allow negative people around you. Things will happen that will cause negativity in life. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that are around you that always got something to say. They low-key hating. We all know who they are. We all got somebody in our life that's always low-key hate. Every time something happens for us, they are not the ones clapping for you. They the ones sitting back talking about, know who those people are. As you grow, you have to know that everyone cannot and will not rise and grow with you. Some people are only designed to be in your life for a minute. Y'all know me, the whole tree thing. You got roots, you have the trunk, you have branches, and you have leaves. We know more leaves, just like on a tree. A tree has more leaves than it has branches. So your leaves are your associates. Your branches are your good friends. Your trunk, that's your family and your best friends. And your roots, that's your, you know, that's your grandparents. That's those people that instill, you know, down to your core. You have to know who the leaves are in your lives and who the branches are, because you know who your trunks and who your trunk is, and you know who's on your trunk and who your roots are. But some confuse branches with leaves and leaves with branches. You know, you got to know that. And everybody is not meant to rise with you. There are some people that you are meant to leave behind. Be okay with that. There are some people that are going to grow with you. Be okay with that as well. And make sure that the people in your boat are not drilling holes, but keeping you afloat. There's always somebody that's low-key hating, period. And so with that being said, I found a nice little video from OPRAH as to why she can't take everybody with her.
I had to do a clearing in my life of some people whose energy I realized was not supportive of who I wanted to be in the world. And I recognized there are people who are not going to take responsibility for their energy, so I now have to take responsibility for the energy that I allow to be brought into my space. Life-changing for me. And what I know is that you cannot continue to move forward in your life to the level and level and
So Oprah told you, you got to know who your good and bad energy people are in your life. You can't, everybody is not designed to go with you. And so with that being said, know your support system. And I found some memes. Y'all know me, I love my memes because technology has allowed people to be very creative and very innovative. And so I found some memes. Success begins with a state of mind. If you want success, start thinking of yourself as a success. Be your hype person. Whatever you want to do in life, be that person. See yourself as that person. And so Will Smith, do not lower your standards to keep people around you. Make them meet you at your level. Self-respect is power. Don't lessen your ability to rise because your homegirl or your friend over here is jealous because they're not rising with you. You can't keep and take everybody with you. There are some people that either they're going to rise with you or they're going to get left behind. Like they say, roll with me or get rolled over. Respect yourself and keep that demand of respect about yourself, and people around you will do the same. And they're either going to rise with you or they're going to fall off. In either way, you have to be okay with that. You know, everybody, I always see people say, you know, I'm still friends with people you went to high school. I still have my best friends from high school. Tori's one of my best friends from high school. Tanisa, my best friend from junior high school. I still have friends that I communicate with from high school. There are friends that are on Facebook. They are quotably not friends. They are leads. They are associates. But my friends, they are still in my life, and I can count them on one hand. And we all have the same goals. We are all moving. We're all rising. Nobody's trying to hold anybody back. We are all in support of each other. That's what you want in your life. And then I used to walk into a room and wonder if they liked me. Now I wonder if I like them. I had to learn that about myself, especially with coaching basketball, because basketball is a very male-dominated society in the industry. And first I know who coaches were in the area, you know, who the best teams were, because I wanted to become friends with those coaches, thinking that, hey, you know, they're going to want to help me and it's going to be cool. I found out the hard way. No, you know, it took a long, 2015 was a hard year for me. I don't even want to go back to that space. But I found out in 2015 that people that I thought were my friends were only using me. And as coaches, I never thought that coaches would do each other like that. But yeah, they do. And so now when I walk into, coaches meetings and coaches academies and things like that, I don't worry about if somebody likes me. I'm more like, do I like you? And whatever. Once again, you will die and decompose before I care whether or not you like me or dislike me. And then raise your standards, because you will always get what you are willing to settle for. You have to have standards. You can't just be okay with certain things, because how you let people treat you, you have to train people how to treat you. That whole self-respect, you have to train people how to treat you. And when people don't want to respect you, you got to push them over to the side, let them go. It's been nice knowing you, but no, and me, I don't have those problems, because once I'm done with somebody, I'm deleting phone numbers, emails, whatever. I don't care. I learned a long time ago that people will hurt you and don't care. You can do the best for people and they will still hurt you and don't care. So you have to learn to set standards. What are you willing to settle for? That's what you have to really know. What is the very baseline thing that can happen that you will be okay with? Everything else below that, they got to go, because that's pretty much what's going to happen. You have to figure out what is the lowest thing that you're willing to deal with, and everything less than that has to go. And so blocking out the negative, focusing on the positive, living my best life. That's what you have to do. You have to be able to block that foolishness and live your best life, being best positive that you can be. You have to. Nobody can do that for you. You have to. So, and here are my references. Y'all know me. I do plenty for my things. And then, does anybody have any questions on anything? Y'all never have any questions for me, so that tells me hopefully that I'm doing good. But does anybody have any questions? Or not, you know where to find me, you know how to get in touch with me if you do. But I always leave room for questions. If you have them, put them in the chat box. And as always, contact me if you have questions or if you want to know any more information on anything. Y'all know how to get a hold of me, but email, I got several of them. This is just one of them. 800-EDUCATOR-BRIDGET@TICommunities.com. or find me either on my personal Facebook page, which I will never list here, and then my work Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Dr. Bridget King, EDD. And because this is my presentation for 2020, I want to say have a wonderful and Merry Christmas. Uh-oh, I got something coming through. Where's the survey? Hold on just a second, Mama. I will post it. It's there, but I got to repost the link. I posted it at the top, and you may didn't see it, or I posted it before you logged in. Give me just a second, and I'm going to repost it. But have a wonderful and Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful and Happy New Year. And I will see everybody in 2021. I'm not closing out yet. I'm just ending. I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint presentation. Here is the link. Uh-oh, hold on. To everyone. I was about to send that just to Tori. There we go. That's the post survey link, and everybody knows how to do the survey. You know, just click on the link. Kirsty, you knew, just click on the link, and it's going to ask you for the community. It's going to be 800 link. It's going to ask you for the pillar. Choose, if it allows you to choose two, choose education and health and wellness. If it only allows you to choose one, just pick health and wellness, and then go through and answer the questions. At the bottom where it asks you for your door number, put in there, you do not live in the community. So y'all don't have to do that, but just, yeah, just put in everything else is self-explanatory, but at the very bottom, it's going to ask you your door number. In that space, put, I do not live in the community. Then if there's any other topics that y'all want to see or anything, then type that. There's a box in there for that. Don't leave. I got to get everybody. I see Sheila had to go back to work, so let me make sure I have everybody on here, because I'm gonna put 5, because she was in here at one point and she's gone now. She had to go back to work, so I had to take my picture. I got everybody's picture. Let me take another one just in case, so I do not forget to take my pictures and submit my stuff. There we go. Let's see. We had another message. Oh, Sheila's here. Where you go? You're not on my screen. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Yep. Okay, there it goes. Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me take.
At the top.
Well, I had to change the viewpoint. I see everybody now. Let me get this one. You weren't on the view that I had. I had to change it to the big view so I can see everybody. I didn't realize that I didn't have that on there. Okay, now let me go back to, I'm just over here messing up stuff. Oh, resize. Okay, my bad. I have a big picture of myself. I couldn't see y'all anymore. I'm like, where'd everybody go? Okay, there we go. So everybody's here now. There we go. So I want to thank you ladies for tonight. Thank you for my for sitting in my presentations. This is what presentation number 27. It's either 26 or 27 or 27 and 28. I think this is presentation number 28, to be honest. But I have more coming next for 2021. I have some very good topics coming. Everybody's saying Merry Christmas. I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody as well. You know, we're not doing Christmas at my mom's this year, and that's fine. You know, everybody stay healthy. I want everybody in 2021. I don't care about Christmas as long as everybody is marching into 2021. So everybody enjoy your Christmas. Have a wonderful New Year. Eat pie and cake and have drinks for me. Do all of that. I'm going to talk to all of y'all several times before then and on those days anyway. But I still want to say Merry Christmas to you all. I love you all. Talk to y'all later. See you in 2021. Bye. Bye, Tori.